appreciate you, Philip P. Live from Coachella Valley. We are live on CoachellaValley.com. We are live on today'sCalifornia.com. We are live on today'sCanada.com. We are live all over the Twitterverse, all over the metaverse, all over the universe. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. This is the Hot Minutia Sports Show. My name is Barry Long II, not the first, not the third. I am Barry Long II. And let's bring in my main man, Rudy Ramon Reyes. How you been, Rudy?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. You know, the day's rolling. That music always has a way to just kind of centralize the mood,
It brings it up, brings that energy in, right?
Like this solid segue. It just makes you want to go. Whoever's watching should really check that out. It's a great tune from beginning to end.
It really is. It really is. And shout out to Philip P. once again for doing that for us. He's a musician out here in the Coachella Valley, and he's very talented, and we appreciate him so much. We also appreciate Badu. Badu already commenting in saying, yo, what's up, Badu? You know your mama didn't name you Badu. How do you feel about people?
Bad dude.
Maybe it's Badu, but how do you feel? Or Erica Badu. How do you feel about people not using their government names on social media? Going by aliases.
Alias is okay. As long as you're not an alien, an alias is okay. You know, with bug eyes or how we used to think what aliens actually look like. No, he's good. We'll let him in.
You know who's an alien? You know who's an alien? This is Adam Stern, the NFL, the NBA commissioner. Doesn't he look like an alien?
Oh, Adam Silver?
Adam Silver. I said Adam Stern.
He is no, he just needs more time in the sun. Come on, Adam. Work with me.
Shout out to him. Speaking of NBA, we're going to talk some NBA today. We're also going to talk a little bit of NFL news that comes out. And the NFL is the league that keeps on giving because every single offseason, they seem to be able to drop one big story and they dominate the headlines from all the other sports. It's sad that people don't talk baseball as much on these platforms, but we will continue to get deeper and deeper into playoffs or into baseball as baseball continues to go throughout this entire 150 game plus series season.
It's a long series. I'm telling you,
it's a long season. It's a grueling season, and it's one of the best games. It's still the national pastime, in my opinion. But we also have some WNBA news. The WNBA just kicked off without one of their best players in the league, and she is being detained in Russia. Brittany Greiner. We will discuss that as well and give you our thoughts on that. But we wish you would comment, just like Badu commented right here, said, "Yo, give us an opinion about what we're talking about, and we'll shout you out and we'll give you a little bit of shine." And if you're good enough, we'll give you more shine.
Here, we should all comment. Everybody should comment. You got something to say? You got a question, regardless of what sport it is. We don't know. We'll find the answer. Otherwise, just let us know.
Absolutely.
Ask us questions. We'll get back to you.
And don't leave the show early because you don't want to miss that meme of the day. We always have a good meme of the day, and today
don't
we got
miss the meme. Hashtag don't miss the meme.
Don't miss the meme. Let's talk about the game that was on tonight. This was the Miami Heat and the Philadelphia 76ers. And everybody thought that the 76ers would eventually assert themselves in this series. And with Joel Embiid, facing the orbital fracture bone and also the finger issue that he has, it looked like the 76ers were dead in the water. And then they come out with this beautiful performance by James Harden. I mean, my man, he looked like vintage James Harden. He was doing the step back threes. He must have hit 5 threes in the last 5 minutes of the game. But we knew that James Harden cannot do that night in and night out anymore because although he's only 32 years old and he's got probably 6-7 years left in the league, probably 5 effective years left in the league, he is not capable of doing the things that he did in last game, in the game 4, every night, especially during the playoff series, which is grueling and it's night on, night off, night on, night off. But he did, he did drop a few points tonight. It didn't score over 20. And you had Joel Embiid coming back, and they just didn't look as effectively defensively as they have in the past when Joel Embiid is in the paint. Maria Lascuna said, "I miss you too. It's about time." Hey, you're right, Maria Lascuna. We appreciate you. We appreciate you so much.
We had back on track here.
We had a little hiatus. But we're back. Just like Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid was back tonight, and he was not effective defensively in the paint. You see right there that the Miami Heat had 56 points in the paint to only 36 points in the paint. And not only can Joel Embiid dominate one side of the paint defensively, he can dominate offensively on the other side of the paint. So he's not 100% healthy right now. You feel terrible for a guy like him who's put in so much work to be an MVP candidate and to be in this position. And it just so happens that he's hurt, and it's just the luck of the draw. and it's just the nature of professional sports. But everybody thought Miami was going to lose this series, including me. And Miami came out and asserted themselves tonight. They shot 53.6% from the field. Oh my God! Look, when you say that, you gotta have that disgust look on your face. But they look dominant, and I think that they're going to win this series. Of course, the series heads back to Philadelphia, and we'll see. It's 2-2, 1-1-1 is the structure of the NBA playoffs. So Philadelphia's going to have a chance on their home floor, and we might see a Game 7. But I think if it does go to Game 7, I think Miami wins. And they win decisively. What say you, Rudy Reyes?
Well, when I look at the Miami Heat, they did more than assert themselves. They basically took control of this game. When you're over 100 points and you're over halfway, you're like 3/4 of the way through the final quarter. A lot to be said for putting all the role players in the right positions, and in turn be able to get them inside of the paint. James Harden, okay, fine. So he's averaged, relatively 22 points, almost 11 assists. And almost 8 rebounds in 65 games in the season. Yes, no, he didn't play the entire season with the 76ers, but he has given them some life in times where they actually needed it. The problem is that Joel Embiid had a thumb that went sideways, north, south, east, or west. I'm not quite sure. I don't even know if he knows where it went. But when you have Joel out there, you have James Harden out there, you have Maxey, who basically is a newer, revived, fresher type of guy versus James Harden, who has a lot of miles on him, and no Larry O'Brien, much less a ring to show for his hard work and efforts. You really have to think to yourself, do the 76ers have enough gas to get this done? And the question I have to that is no, for a lot of reasons. I mean, I understand orbital bones. The sun goes around the earth, and all of a sudden we have nighttime, and orbital bones nothing to really play with, and obviously nothing to poke fun at. But when you think about the symmetry of what an elbow feels like in your eye socket, it's like an eclipse of the sun.
Yeah,
on the earth, and
that's true.
That's really what it boils down right? to. Yeah, absolutely. And you have no way to go back from it. And of course, Joel's wearing the face mask. He's a very physical guy, so it's hard not to get elbows in the face. But overall, I just don't know that the 76ers have enough to get past this Heat team, who seems to find a way to win. And they did that tonight with over 120 points. So again, it makes you wonder if Miami can find a way to stay with the same continuity, getting Jimmy Butler involved early and often, driving to the paint, shooting with his opposite hand into the iron. And the Heat is playing, well, they're on fire right now. I mean, clearly 45-84 points. I mean, it just looks as though Miami is a team on a mission. They were snubbed out last year in the bubble. Everybody knows that. Everybody remembers that bubble game. But they've really came back with a vengeance, and they have all the pieces. Bam Adebayo. I know he's not the all-encompassing, guy, but he provides a lot of support. He does it on the pick and roll. He does it inside of the paint. So look, the Heat have all the right pieces, but can they stay consistent to get on to the Eastern Conference Finals? That remains to be seen. Switching to the Celtics, that was a Jason Tatum show 101.
And how about Horford?
Oh my gosh, Al Horford is Al Horford of old, but the new version of Al Horford.
A nostalgic AL is the nostalgic Al performance right there.
Yeah, exactly. You take the A and the L, you make that look like an I. It's it's artificial intelligence is what Horford brings to the court. And of course, with Jason Tatum, a guy who finds a way to get it done from three. A lot to be said for where he can shoot it and when he can shoot it. And basically, with anybody on the floor, he's able to shoot it over them. He's playing like a man possessed right now. And the Celtics are certainly trying to make a solid case against the Bucks, who failed miserably yesterday. And of course, you've seen that tip off, very highly contentious, very physical kind of playoff basketball that we've seen just in this playoff system alone. I can't even imagine what the Western Conference Finals or Eastern Conference Finals are going to look like. But this is going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight to the end, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Reminds me of the NFL playoffs, a do-or-die situation, a wild card position, right? Just fantastic stuff. These guys are playing lights out across the board. The funny thing about all these guys, all these teams that are in it right now, they're in it to win it. And they're willing to go, mano a mano. They're very aggressive inside of the paint, outside of the paint, on the perimeter. some of these wishy-washy calls in regards to refs with a hand, touch, or I mean, what do you expect when you're jumping up, 4 feet off the ground and you land against the player who's trying to drive into the lane, being the willing passer, maybe even the willing shooter at that point? Do you think JaVale McGee would have landed on a cloud, instead of running into the player? I mean, come on, man.
There's a lot of ticky-tack foul calls this nowadays, currently. And if you grew up watching the 80s basketball, and especially early 90s, it was highly contentious. It was very physical. They let them play a lot more than they let them play. They didn't eject players for flagrant twos that weren't really flagrant twos. I mean, they used to punch guys in the face, and it would be a personal foul, not even a technical. So the culture and society have definitely shifted, as well as the rules. So we don't see the same type of physicality, but I always am a little bit apprehensive to jump on the bandwagon when people are talking about how soft the game is nowadays, because society is soft. Look at me. We got cancel culture. We got a lot of different things that have changed since the 90s. You can't say anything bad about anybody, because especially with the social media nowadays. So I think the NBA players aren't soft in general. I just think that the game has become soft, and as a result, they are soft or deemed soft because of it. But going back to that game, it was a great game. It's been a great series. This has been a treat for this playoffs, because we don't really know who's going to be the clear-cut favorite winner. We also have had most series go 2-2. So we're probably looking at least 2 Game 7s this round of the playoffs, which I'm excited for, because there's no better 2 words in sports than Game 7. But this game right here, whoever wins this series, I believe, is going to win the Eastern Conference. I think Miami came out with a great performance against a beat-up and a sad and disappointing team in the 76ers. And I feel like there's no way that they're going to be able to compete with these 2 teams, especially after going through a series like this, being so difficult, so back and forth, so many lead changes. I think that they're going to be battle tested and ready for whoever they face in the Eastern Conference. Now, there was a ticky-tacky foul against Al Horford yesterday, where he got a technical foul after he made a dunk and got fouled because of the nature in which he came down. That's to your point. That's about, the NBA being soft. But I feel like when you have guys like Al Horford step up, you have guys like Jason Tatum perform like he did, and you don't get the most out of Jaylen Brown, you don't get the most out of all your other role players on the Celtics, and you still find a way to win the game by 8 points, I feel like the Celtics are in the driver's seat in this series right now, and they're in the driver's seat in the Eastern Conference, in my opinion. We are live on CoachellaValley.com. We are live on Today'sCalifornia.com. We are live also on Today'sCanada.com. He is Rudy Ramon Reyes. I am Barry Long II. We appreciate everybody for tuning in and commenting like Badu, and Maria Lascuna, one of our favorite viewers. We love you, Maria. We appreciate all the support. And so let's get to this last series, this last game that we had. It was last night, and we saw the Warriors put up a vintage Warriors performance. And, everybody's been thinking, we've just been waiting for the series between the Golden State Warriors and the Phoenix Suns in the Western Conference Finals, because everybody knows that inevitably that will be the result. And I think it's going to be a highly contentious series also, because the history that Chris Paul has going up against the Warriors when he was with the Clippers in Lob City, I mean, there was a lot of tension back and forth, and there was a lot of arguing. There was a lot of, if you watch some of those games mic'd up on YouTube, you'll know how contentious it was. So I feel like Chris Paul will keep that same energy, as the young kids say, and he will go into that series as like a dog, and he might even make a dirty play or two. But Devin Booker has been stepping up lately. I feel like that's going to be a good series. But last night, when you saw the Grizzlies without Ja Morant and the Warriors with a hobbled Klay Thompson, and just a team that is not as of a juggernaut as they were before, for them to pull it out at the end and really just make plays down the stretch that were game deciding, I felt like the Warriors are ready, and I'm not sure that they can beat necessarily the Phoenix Suns next round. But Ja Morant is expected to not play for the rest of the playoffs due to his knee injury. And I think that the Memphis Grizzlies, it was great. It was a great story, great feeling, for the city. But I feel like it's over. The ride is over now. It's time to get off the roller coaster, and the Warriors will prevail. What do you think about? What are your thoughts on the game last night?
That it was extremely contentious, and I know they were talking about the bone bruise on Ja Morant's right knee, and to be honest with you, was he double teamed? Yes. Did it look as though they pulled him down to try to aggravate that knee? I don't think so. There was really no malice involved in that. We've seen lots of ref calls that have changed momentum, that swings like a pendulum. And the saddest part is that when you look at how Memphis played, even without Ja Morant, as a matter of fact, he's missing the entire playoff series period, and they expected to go for the final, in next year. Essentially, they're going to have to do this along the way without him. I don't see him getting it done, especially with a Golden State team. And look, I understand Steph Curry's missed, obvious free throws from the charity stripe. I get it. He's done it consistently, though, but also the inconsistency of not making those charity stripe buckets right to the iron. Now, the sad part about this is that when you look at Steph Curry historically, he's been fantastic, almost one of the best at the charity stripe. Unfortunately, not so much this season. Now, Klay Thompson, as far as that's concerned, I think it's going to be a case-by-case scenario and situational when it comes to him being called onto the court. I understand the defensive mindsets in regards to when you look at what Green did, and he's a great defensive mind and he positions himself exactly where he needs to be, but sometimes he's a little bit over aggressive. I'm not saying he's super aggressive, but he's overly aggressive at times that perhaps he doesn't need to be overly aggressive in. The saddest part about that is that one foul where he actually pulled on the guy's jersey, and instead of throwing him to the ground, he actually tried to help him back up, should show the referees that it wasn't done in malice. Or was it? Right?
Maybe it was the quickest apology in the world.
The quickest apology is
my bad.
But oops, my bad. This is what I shouldn't be doing. Maybe I should pull him up off the ground instead of him doing a face plant on the hardwood. But at the end of the day, the Golden State Warriors just have too much power. They made all their possessions, not all the possessions count, but for the most part they did. But then you get into 3-point contests, and those contests, consist of, I'm going to go down on the floor and I'm going to, spar with you. When you miss at the charity stripe, when you miss and you start shooting three-pointers and you end up missing those 3-pointers, you're going to wonder what happened. Look, all these teams are evenly matched throughout. So it is not as if any one of these teams have a serious, advantage or disadvantage. But I think what it boils down to, we're talking about home court advantage in the NBA playoffs. Last year we didn't have that, right? Because it was in a bubble, so nobody had the ability to call that any type of advantage. But right now, this season, there is such a thing as home field, home court, home field, home ice advantage right now. Because you can actually ice a player just as as they're getting up to put a free throw through, just like you would in an NFL game where you're going to actually go for the 3-point win. So there is home court advantage when you're talking about all of these teams. That's why these series are so tight right now, because the fans give them the energy, they give them the enthusiasm, they give them everything they need to get them to the next level. And all these series right now that are going on are end up going to go to 7. That's my official prediction right now.
You think every series is going to 7?
Yep.
Even
the way that they're playing, even slope.
Even the Warriors are up 3. The Warriors are up 3-1.
Memphis is going to find a way.
All right,
Memphis will find a way. Now,
I love your
it may be a little.
I love your optimism.
It may be a little ambiguous. I get it. It may be a little ambiguous.
I'll give you 3 out of 4. I'll give you 3 out of 4 series.
But think about this, though. Think about this. They were able to not do as good, and in all honesty, numbers don't lie, without Ja Morant. But that's only without Ja Morant for a very limited amount of time.
Yeah.
So not extensive amount of time. It's just a question as to whether or not they find a way to get the right guys in the right position to make those field goals count. You have to win it at the line, and ultimately, if they can do that, they'll stay close, and it could come down to a 3-point game swing when that series shifts back to Memphis.
Well, when you want to get in a 3-point shooting contest, the last team you want to get in the 3-point shooting contest with is the Golden State Warriors. I don't care how hobbled Klay is, and if he needs another year to prepare, that man can shoot. And and Steph Curry has been inconsistent this year, or not inconsistent in terms of just generally around the league. He's still one of the best, but he's been inconsistent from what we've been accustomed to watching from him. So, but last night down the stretch, my man made every free throw. He made every play he needed to make. Draymond Green was great down the stretch.
Clutch.
And we saw a young Memphis Grizzlies, a young, hungry team, not be able to make free throws down the stretch. There was the last 2 trips to the free throw line. Jaren Jackson Jr., who was incredible, and I think he's ascending as a young star in this league. He is ascending, and he will be a household name one day in this league. But I just felt eventually he missed 1 out of 2 free throws. I think it was Tyus Jones or somebody who missed a 1 out of 2. And ultimately, when you look at the final score, they lost by 3. But that would have created another possession for them. Probably would have gave them more time and more confidence down the stretch. Home court advantage has definitely been a deciding factor in a lot of these games, especially that one, because I feel like now that the pandemic it's not officially over, but we turned that corner. We're like right there, like 75%.
Slowly making the U-turn, going back
there you go.
to Rosemead. Yeah.
We're 75% of the way there. But I feel like the fans are just excited to be out. There's not a lot of mask mandates. Life is becoming normal, and that's the most normal thing that I've seen thus far since the pandemic is fans going hard like that. There's no restriction on the limitation of population, how many people can get in. There's no limitation on mass. There's no the players we don't see players going to the protocol that much. We've seen a couple, but it just feels like it's the old NBA that we're accustomed to. Well, the new old NBA. And we are live on CoachellaValley.com. We are live on Today'sCalifornia.com. We are live on Today'sCanada.com. And we got some comments from Bill Senso, one of our favorite guys too. He says, "Hate Barry and Rudy." Is that
what?
Bill? Now Bill's not as technologically savvy as you and I. So I think I want to say, because Bill would never say that. I want to say Bill would say "hey," and he thought that he just didn't. He just didn't
on the keyboard.
He just forgot that there was a T at the end of 8. So it turns into "hey." It turns from "hey" to "hate." But we love him, man. We love him. So, he says he loves our confidence. He says he loves your confidence, Rudy, about Memphis. And I love
that right there's a 3-point swing. I'm telling you,
they're not. There's no way they're gonna win 2 in a row. And they might win 1 in Memphis, but they're not winning game.
They have
game
the
6.
ability to do it. If this was a 3-point swing that we seen yesterday, there's no reason to suggest they can't pull this out at home.
But can they sustain the high level of play that they had the first 3 quarters last night? Can they sustain that for 3 games without Ja Morant? I don't think so. I don't think that they have a number 2 guy. Jaren Jackson is the number 2 guy, and I just don't think that he is capable of carrying this team on his back night in and night out the way Ja Morant did. And Ja Morant did so many different things. Not only was he so great with the basketball in his hands and great when he's dunking and he's in the air, he was great on defense, and he would make some incredible blocks and some incredible steals that were difference makers. And I just feel like as much as I love Memphis and their heart and their grit and grind,
and you're right,
I just don't think that they have what it takes to overcome Golden State in this series. But
we'll see. It can happen anytime. Again, they're at home in Memphis, so.
Hey, you want to put something on it? Because if they take, I'm not saying that if they win Game 7, if they get to Game 7, I owe you something, buddy. I owe you something. We'll decide. Maybe we'll let the viewers decide.
We'll let the audience decide.
Yeah, yes. Absolutely. All right, so let's shift from the NBA to the WNBA. Brittany Greiner, who has been one of the most dominant female basketball players that we've ever seen, has been detained in Russia. She was flying out of Russia. We know that she spends the majority of her playing career in Russia. During the entire WNBA offseason, basically these girls are not making enough money to live the lifestyle in which they deserve. They're not even comparable to what the NBA is making. It's kind of like the U.S. women's soccer team compared to what the U.S. men's soccer team is doing. And that's a little different because the women's program was so much more successful than the men's. But it just goes to show you that there's inequality in sports. And so these women, the top stars from the WNBA, had to go play overseas. And she's playing in Russia, where she's getting way more money on her contract than she's getting from the Phoenix Mercury. And she gets detained because she has hashish oil in her bag. And it becomes more of a political type of situation and conundrum. And it's sad that she's been detained this long in Russia, who has been creating headlines of their own left and right. Some terrible things going on in that side of the world. But at the end of the day, let her out. I mean, this is like a misdemeanor in my opinion. And I understand that she shouldn't have done what she did, but a slap on the wrist is all you need for something like that. I mean, especially with the rules becoming so lax nowadays when you talk about marijuana and THC. So and CBD's emergence onto the scene. So I just feel like this is a terrible situation. And I can't wait for her to get out of it. And the WNBA is holding tributes for her. And you know, it's just unfortunate. And it's time for them, the government, to step in or something. Somebody's got to do something. But she got to get out of Russia. What do you think, Rudy?
Well, you know, I look at it like this. This should have not have taken any type of political twist or spin whatsoever. And the bottom line to all of this is when you look at Brittany Greiner, as dominant of a player she is in the WNBA, you know, you have to live within your means. And I'm not suggesting that she has no right to go out to another foreign country to say, you know what, this is what I want to make. This is what I'm capable of doing. I can bring this to you guys and to be able to perform in the ways that I need to. Now, as far as inequality is concerned, that continues to be the case and is dubious throughout the entire sports landscape. And nobody can argue that point because a fact is a fact. And that's just a matter of fact all into itself. So as far as Brittany Greiner and her being held up where she's being held up in right now.
That's her mugshot right there, by the way, from Russia. Right. And I don't know what their sign says, but he probably says, "Please help me, mama."
It says, "Please something," but I can't even read it. It's in, you know.
That looks like she's being detained by ISIS. That don't look right to me. But go ahead, Rudy. I'm sorry.
It doesn't even look like any type of you know. There's no SOS, you know, on that document. There very well could be. Anyway, the bottom line to this is that Brittany Greiner is you know, should not have had that. Laws in an international space are applicable, completely unadulteratedly applicable in regards to, you know, trying to take an illegal substance out of, you know, and through an airport and through customs. Same thing that would happen here in the U.S. You would be busted if you're trying to, you know, get marijuana through the system. You'd have customs. It'd be a felony. You'd get thrown into jail, if not prison. You know, this is a serious offense. However, Russia in of itself, and by its own admittance, has gone way over the top when it comes to. I'm not getting political here, but I'm just stating.
Yeah, because we don't want to be on nobody's hit list.
No. Or the
That's
former
him.
Kremlin.
That's him.
When I think of Kremlin, I think of Gremlin. Like, don't feed him after midnight.
Yeah.
Maybe
Putin's
maybe that's Putin. Maybe he doesn't eat pudding after midnight. I don't know.
Ish. Yeah, I mean, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's a bad situation for Brittany because I don't see an end to this, to be quite honest with you. I don't think the U.S. government's going to intervene in such a way. They can make all the plays that they want, which they have. The problem is that it's turned on deaf ears, especially since Russia has many more, at least important things they claim to be going on throughout, you know, areas they have no business being in. That's another story for another time and not on this show. However, I look at this as being a disservice to Brittany by not getting the right legal team involved in order to get her out of, or a barter system or some type of, you know, time served or, you know, something relevant to that, so that way she can come back to the U.S. and play with whatever NBA, you know, WNBA team that there is available for her to take a spot on. Who would, you know, why would you not take a chance on Brittany Greiner?
Yeah, I mean, but imagine if she spends like 5 years there and she loses 5 years of her prime. And then she obviously won't be on the Phoenix Mercury anymore. But I think that somebody will always take a chance on her because her skill set is so unique to the WNBA. I mean, and she grew up playing with dudes, and she dunks like a dude, and she's just a beast. And it's just unfortunate that one of the stars of the WNBA doesn't have enough clout and doesn't have enough popularity around the world to be able to them to say, "Hey, man, we got to let her go." Like if they detain Chris Paul or Steph Curry. Them guys would have been out the next day because they're like, we cannot keep Steph Curry here. All right. But enough about Russia. Let's get real quick because we only have a couple minutes left. Let's talk about Tom Brady. Tom Brady has now been hired prematurely by Fox NFL to be the lead analyst. Over
next to Kevin Burkhardt.
And he's going to be the lead analyst immediately following his playing career. So we know that he's going to play this next year. He retired and came out of retirement. He might play another 5 years knowing Tom Brady. Tom Brady might play till he's 52. Straight up. This guy is, because all he does is, I mean, he could literally play without legs. He can play in a wheelchair because all he does is just throw. He doesn't run. We barely see him run.
Skis for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, my man, he can play on skates. He can play on roller skates.
Going on. It don't matter what it is. But, you know, the interesting part about this is that he hasn't retired yet. But he could.
Yeah.
And this is a
premature move, but they want to lock him in before ESPN, before CBS, before NFL Network. Tom Brady is a good-looking guy, and we've heard him do enough talking about other guys and just his respect for everyone around the league, even people who just respect him. He's the perfect fit for this. And I know that when Tony Romo first got out of his playing career and he got hired immediately to work at CBS, it was like, man, why would they give Tony Romo this type of opportunity this soon? And Romo has done nothing but prove everyone wrong, because this man is a beast. He's not always 100% on his predictions, but most of the time he's on point, and a lot of the times he points out things that other color commentators don't point out. And I feel like Tom Brady will bring that type of dynamic to Fox NFL.
He will bring the play-by-play where there has been no play-by-play. And we're talking about old school. We're talking John Madden. We're talking, going OG when it comes to calling plays and how to call plays. And he's articulate enough to actually do that at $167.5 million over the next 5 NFL seasons being paid by Fox. And that's whenever he retires from the NFL. So the amount of money he's making in a 10-year span of $375 million is more than he would get paid on an NFL field.
And if he doesn't retire for like 3 years, this will be the equivalency of like Duke giving a 7th grader a full ride scholarship already. It's like, we're trying to lock you down before everybody else does. You're that good and that talented. And look, Tom Brady is a guy that is dedicated to being great. He's dedicated to keeping his body in good health. The only time we've ever seen him drunk was when after the Bucs won the Super Bowl, and he deserved to be able to do that. But you're right, his play calling and his breakdown of these plays are going to be so incredible, because he's able to go to a whole new system with the Buccaneers, get everybody on board, and play within that system, and have them acquiesce to his skill set. And he's just so good. He's going to be so good at that job. I'm super excited. We appreciate everybody for tuning in, and everybody for leaving comments like Bill Senso. Love your confidence, Rudy. And he says hi, Barry and Rudy as well. And we also have Maria Lascuna tap in, and Badu. We don't know who is Badu, but I love
you do you keep doing you, Badu.
Just don't call him Badu. All right, let's get to the meme of the day real quick before we get out of here. The meme of the day is one of our favorite segments, and this is a pretty good one. And this is nostalgic for me. Still can't get over the fact that Steph Curry and Greg Oden are the same age. Look, Greg Oden looks like LeBron James's granddad. When he got drafted, I was in the living room with my mom back in Virginia, and she was like, "Who's that? That's LeBron Daddy." And I was like, "Doesn't he look like LeBron?" Bro, he looks like LeBron. He looks like LeBron's dad.
There's something. It could be, he could have been a milkman in his past life. I don't know, man. Greg Oden.
He's an old soul.
How many more titles has he won versus Greg Oden?
And Greg Oden got drafted number 1 over Kevin Durant. The Blazers have had some real bad mess ups in the draft. They drafted Sam Bowie before Michael Jordan. They missed out on a lot of players. But yeah, man, Greg Oden, he's basically full game. Like he's full game now. It was too soon a few years ago. But Greg Oden, he's the oldest rookie I've ever seen in my life, and I can't believe he's the same age as Steph Curry.
He's actually look
at that
OG.
Contrast. Yeah. I like that. He's not G.O. He's OG.
He's OG.
Rudy Reyes. All right, let them know where they can find you at, Rudy.
Yeah, you can go to Twitter if you like that kind of thing. I know I do, at Rude Dog Reyes on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook, same name, Instagram, Rudy R. Reyes, as well as LinkedIn. So you professionals out there, go check it out. Go to rudedogshow.com, and you follow all kinds of goodness I've done in 8 years of broadcast. So check it out.
And y'all can find me on Twitter at Radio Barry Long. You can find me on IG or Facebook, Barry Long II, the same way it's written right here. We appreciate everybody for tuning in and commenting. Y'all stay focused, stay motivated, stay inspired, and remember, you're capable of doing anything. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
Anything.
Peace.
Later.